just think it's important that when we're planning what we're doing, we should build in the hospitality side of things right from the beginning, because I think that I've been way too focused on the sort of the coffee side of stuff, and I think that I feel like it's going to be slightly challenging where we're setting up in other people's venues and try and make sure that we're able to provide hospitality in somebody else's space where we're not in full control. And I just wondered what you might advise in that situation where it's not necessarily somewhere that we have like full control over.
Yeah.
And how we might, because obviously I feel that we can be as welcoming as we can. There's only 2 of us that work on it at the moment.
Okay.
So we do have a fairly decent control on, I guess, like training and the ethos behind it. So it's probably good to get some sort of grounding now before we start employing more people.
Yeah, of course. So right now, I just want to get a basic understanding of what exactly it is that you're doing. So I'm going to describe my understanding of what it is that you're doing, and if you could elaborate or just confirm, that'd be great. So basically, it is you and your business partner that want to start a coffee pop-up business, or basically a coffee cart that you take to different physical locations, and those different physical locations could either be bakeries or whatever businesses they may already have, and you're just going to serve coffee to the pre-existing customers at brick and mortar locations. Is that right?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Okay. So there's really only a few things that you can control in those situations, right? Especially because the customers are already there. What do you think is going to be the primary kind of example of where you might be serving customers at? Would it be bakeries? Would it be just random grocery stores, or what kind of shops? What kind of settings?
So one of the biggest clients that we've already got an agreement sort of technically in place with at the moment is a theatre.
Okay.
So they do like music and comedy nights. And they've said that as soon as we're up and running, we can come and sort of pitch up in there. But again, yeah, it would be, we've got like a lot of independent like fooderies. So there's a pizza shop that might be interested in having us there. There's a vinyl shop, like a record shop that would that have kind of in principle said that we could maybe pitch up there a couple of times a week. So it's kind of a mix of people that are already doing hospitality stuff, and then I guess people that are doing something completely different, like the vinyl store.
Yeah.
And then the theatre, I guess, kind of falls somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a wide array.
Yeah. So generally speaking, when especially in a setting where it's a pop-up, right? That is where you really have to double down on the fact that hospitality is an incredibly dynamic principle. And I know this sounds like a very general and broad concept, and that's because it is. You have to deploy different sets of principles and tactics when you're at the theater versus when you're at a vinyl shop, right?
Yeah.
The noise levels at a vinyl shop is going to be different than where you'd be serving coffee at a theater, right? You might be interacting with people that are already in the theater and are coming out for a quick bathroom toilet break, or you might be interacting with people that are just now arriving and waiting for their mates to come by, right? And so those are all things that you need to take into consideration and act accordingly. I think that people at the vinyl shop are going to be your target customers, where you may be able to have a more substantial time interacting with, just because chances are they're not gonna just grab coffee and go. They're gonna grab coffee and they're gonna hang out at the vinyl shop, right? So capturing different moments where you can introduce the concept of specialty coffee to different crowds, I think is really effective. And so what I would do is I would break down each category of the different physical locations where you're going to be serving at and create different tactics, right? What are some of the things that you would tell to someone that you only have maybe 30 seconds of physical interaction with? For example, at the theater where people may just want to grab a quick cup of coffee. What are some dialogues that you may have in a shop where people are browsing for vinyl, where people are already there for something that they are passionate about, right? Yeah. So maybe you can relate specialty coffee, the concept of specialty coffee, to the thing that they're already interested in, which is vinyl, right?
Yeah.
So if people don't understand what specialty coffee is, just a quick, really, really quick example would be showing people, elaborating that there are different vinyl players and there are different levels of audio quality, right? And so you could share examples where specialty coffee is the same way, where specialty coffee you focus so much more on quality, and sharing different stories and analogies as such can be an incredibly effective tool. What are some of the major concerns that you may have had, or what are some questions that you might have had in regards to actual interactions? Because again, hospitality is so dynamic that really, in order for me to help you outside of just giving these general ideas and concepts, I would need to know a bit more into specifics of your need.
Yeah. So I guess I think the main concern that I kind of had, I think the reason that I reached out to you specifically was because of something that you said about how you can, and actually it was something you said that really inspired this pivot, because we were originally looking to do like a one regular spot and just be there 100% of the time, almost like having like a permanent, almost like a brick and mortar situation, but within somebody else's thing.
Gotcha.
And I think that the pivot was kind of inspired by the whole idea that you can have this really aesthetic, curated space, but if you're not being welcoming, then it kind of defeats the whole object, right? Like, you can make it this really sort of beautifully crafted space, and like you can make your brand, because I worked quite hard on creating the graphics and the design of the brand, but then I never considered how that would work in the real world, and how that equates to sort of customer interactions. It was just kind of like a bit of an oversight, I guess, on my part, where it was like, I really like how this looks.
Yeah.
But actually, is it going to resonate with customers? So I think that was one of my main reasons for pivoting, was then like just kind of scaling it back and using this pop-up, the sort of, because I do envisage eventually having something more permanent. But I think the idea is now sort of scale it back, see what works and what doesn't in different markets.
Yeah.
But I guess that from the sort of the main concern, I guess, is like how, because I think that we can interact with the customers, and like you said, we have different amounts of time depending on where we are. But how do we? It's kind of like, how do we kind of transfer that into them wanting to seek us out again, wherever it is that we might be, and like make the people that we're interacting with invested in what we're doing. In more than just oh my gosh, this is a really good cup of coffee. More like these guys made me feel really excited about what they're doing. Or like this kind of like, because I quite like the idea of introducing people to specialty coffee. Maybe it's like the first time they've ever tried coffee that isn't from a chain.
Right.
And and that they have this opportunity. We have this opportunity to share this incredible product with them, and that really excites me. But it's just making sure that I'm excited because I really love coffee. How do I get that to translate into, and kind of like what you said with the vinyl people, right? Like, how do I get that to then translate into, because I appreciate that not everybody is as excited about coffee as I am. Some people view it as, I need my caffeine kick and I want to go back into the theatre. And so I guess I need to kind of understand that not everybody is as excited about coffee.
Okay.
But still have that because everybody loves being treated right? They remember, like, I think you said that people remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
Rather than the coffee that they had, they'll come back because you made them feel a certain way.
Right.
And I guess it's just trying to figure out how to impart that using the knowledge that Kieran and I have versus how to, like, because obviously the coffee is important, but it's not as important as how you make the guest feel, right?
Right. So, you said you and Karen?
Kieran, yeah, he's my business partner.
Gotcha. Okay, so from the things that I've heard from you thus far, I don't think your primary concerns or even issues are going to be on hospitality. Matter of fact, there's a few cues that I look for when I'm looking for people that can really generate hospitality and make people feel seen and heard and appreciated. And just within this quick, short interaction, I can tell that you are a very emotionally aware person. I think that you think about how your actions and how the things you say and how you move around make other people feel. And that's not something that you can teach easily. So I don't think the problem is going to be on hospitality. Because look, hospitality is just as dynamic and just as broad and complex hospitality is. It's also very simple, especially in a setting where it doesn't involve a lot of moving parts. For instance, in a restaurant, you have to think about which direction are my servers going to walk towards? Which side are my servers going to walk towards? Which side and at what angle are they going to serve the dishes? How are they going to speak? What's the tonality going to be? There's all these different things to consider, and that can be systemized. But in a coffee cart pop-up setting, there are only a few things that you can control, and the interactions are nowhere near as long as a full-blown an hour to 2 hour long dining session.
Yeah.
Which makes things very easy for you, which makes things very simple for you. And I think that you already have the skills, you already have the emotional awareness, emotional intelligence, and you already have a great engagement skills and people skills. And you look at people when you talk, you smile at people, you engage at the right timings. You don't have a hospitality problem, you have a branding problem. Basically,
right.
What you're trying to figure out is how do I get people to be attracted to the thing that Karen and I are going to be doing? How do I get people interested in this thing called specialty coffee? And how you do that is literally by you existing in those physical locations. And by you smiling at people, you just saying hello, and you giving them those simple interactions, getting them engaged, and saying, hey, have you ever tried specialty coffee? Here for some coffee. You could give out samples, right? You could give out little samples of batch brew, of, I'm not sure what kind of coffees you're into, whether it be washed, natural, anaerobic, or even co-ferments. Co-fermented coffees, regardless of how the industry feels about them, they get people very excited. It's an incredible tool to say, this exists, but you can also take that moment when people are interested to say, this exists, yes, this is very fun, but I want you to know that this is flavors that exist because of process. And I'm going to explain to you what this process is. And this is where you provide value, is through educating consumers whenever you're given the opportunity to. When you have their attention, give them the right amount of information and the correct information, right? You don't have to go into this coffee spent 72 hours in a 17 degrees Celsius stainless steel tank under whatever pressure. Nobody cares. They don't care. They just want to know, how does this coffee taste like grapes, right? How does this coffee taste like cherries? And so if it's a wash coffee and it tastes like cherries and people perceive that, then you can tell them what it is. You can make an example of, look, you go into a grocery store, you have your favorite apples, you have your favorite oranges. They're all same apples, but they all taste different because there are different types of apples. Same thing actually exists in coffee. Then people are engaged. And when people are engaged, you give them a little bit more information, And it's a constant push and pull of interest. That's really the game of hospitality and information delivery in specialty coffee, is push and pull of, do I still have this person's interest? If you feel like you're losing it, if the person doesn't seem engaged, then you got to pull back a little bit. Then you might just say, thank you so much for trying our coffees. Hope you enjoy. Hope to see you next time. Right?
Yeah.
And those small engagements, the more you have those interactions, the better you're going to be at capturing these opportunities into moments of engagement. Right? And so that's where the beauty is within branding of showcasing, hey, this is me and Karen, this is our coffee business, this is what we do. We love specialty coffee, but we love serving you more. And also back to how do I serve people that don't care about conversation, right? In theaters or whatever it may be, even at a vinyl shop, people may just want, there's hardcore vinyl heads that are into really different, diverse sets of music, where maybe all they want is a straight black coffee that tastes like charcoal or whatever, right? That tastes like burnt rubber. If that's the thing, we as coffee professionals, we as hospitality professionals must have the humility to say, I don't judge, I understand. I don't judge, I understand. That's the key. That's the beauty of hospitality. You might sometimes see me throw up on my Instagram status or notes, humility, the word humility. I just had that up yesterday. That's what I'm talking about. It's not this fake humbleness of when people say, man, you're doing a great job. Oh, no, this is nothing. No, that's not humility. Humility is being able to say, I love that you enjoy this. This is what we do. It's slightly different, but there's coffee for everyone. You're not going to be able to just serve light roast coffees. You're going to have to serve blends. You're going to have to serve espresso. You're going to have to serve lattes. You're going to have to serve flat whites, right? But you can still incorporate quality into the entire equation, and you can sprinkle bits of specialty coffee via humility and hospitality in those short moments where you can interact with customers. They're not going to all enjoy specialty coffee. Chances are, vast majority of them are going to come by, look at the prices, and go, shit, why is this so expensive? Right?
Yeah.
And even when those moments come, again, this is where humility is so important. Is, yes, this is expensive, but this is why. You have to be able to tell stories. When people have stories, that's the key component of branding is stories. People want to know why this is expensive and why you're serving this coffee to them and why you're serving that coffee with that story through you and your business partner's idea and ethos of business at the physical location that you are at. Why theater? Why vinyl shop? Why this location? You have to be able to provide reasons for every action that you do, and that's going to serve as a concrete foundation for everything that you do that involves explanation, right? Because everyone resonates with logic. Not everyone resonates with taste. Not everyone resonates with styles of coffees. Everyone resonates with logic. And so keep that as a weapon in your arsenal. That way you can make quick sense of things to people when explaining things. And so yeah, those are some of the things that I would think about, right? Is not just within hospitality, but in branding. Because again, I think you have a branding problem, not a hospitality problem. Hospitality, I believe, is going to come to you as time goes. You have to just be patient. You have to go out there and fail. You have to go out there and humiliate yourself. You have to go out there and get humbled. You have to stand at a theater at a pop up for 12 hours and have nobody show up, right? Those moments all exist. I mean, shoot, even nowadays, whenever I do pop ups, it's not always packed. And whenever it's not always packed, I'm not bummed out. I don't sit there and go, well, damn, I'm doing this thing. I'm making coffee for people. Why is nobody here? I go, well, this is just the way it is. And if I can just engage with even one customer that walks in, then I'm going to capture that moment to the best of my ability. And that's the mindset that you're going to have as you venture into this coffee cart pop-up business, because without that, you're going to get crushed. Your soul's going to get crushed before anything else does. I really mean that. You're going to have days when no one shows up. You're going to have people that come and complain. You're going to have people say that the most perfectly dialed in coffee that you made that day with custom water, grinders, yada, 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 you're going to have people say, oh, this is sour. And even then, you have to have the humility to say, yes, maybe I gave you the wrong recommendation. Perhaps this style of coffee suits you better. Because even within light roast, there's so many different flavors, right? So all of these quick thinking, all of these quick responses are what make up the dynamic side of hospitality. It's kind of like telling somebody, hey, you need to be more charismatic. What the hell does that mean? Right? Be more hospitable. What the hell does that mean? You have to break it down and think in, if you were to say, hey, I want you to look at people in the eyes when you speak. I want you to use your hands when you speak. That way it's not just like this. And when you use your hands to articulate the things that you're speaking about, then you seem more confident and you are going to come across as more charismatic, right? We have to break things down into actionable items for even the concept of hospitality to work. And so, unfortunately, I gotta go run. But these are some of the concepts that I would really